What's good, it's your boy CJ Goodfella back with the Boxing Clinic, doing my final thoughts on Keith Thurman versus Danny Garcia. And this is a little lengthier video, probably the longest video I've ever done on any boxing channel that I've been involved with. But let's get into it, man. Definitely, Keith Thurman is probably looked at as the most athletic boxer in this matchup. He's a good puncher, fast, quick, good feet, good hands and feet, good athlete. Teddy Atlas called him the best pure athlete with boxing gloves on currently. And, he's in that debate. And we know Angel Garcia has been talking a lot, trying to throw him off his game, trying to get him angry, trying to get him aggressive, trying to get him to open up so Danny can, basically give him the business and catch him. But I think, to take in consideration that Danny Garcia and his team have been here on this level before on such a big stage. He doesn't get phased, and in any of the interviews, he's still always calm and collective. Matisse hit him with some large, big shots, and his demeanor never changed. And that's something that's worth mentioning. He is just very calm, inside and outside the ring. The moment is never bigger than, it is. It's never big. It's never too big for him. And he's composed. I think if he's going to win this fight, it's going to be that he's going to weather some rainy moments. He's going to weather some storms in this fight. But if he can make it a dirty, gritty fight, and he can find a way to get Keith in close quarters, it's going to be a difficult fight. We seen Keith hurt before, and he doesn't react well. He doesn't react like a champion should, like an upper echelon boxer should. When Galazzo hit him with that body shot, he was running all over the ring like a rat with his tail chopped off. He didn't know how to react like a champion to that adversity. And if Danny can get him hurt like that, Danny's an excellent finisher, a better finisher than Luis Galazzo. And like I was telling people, Keith Thurman does a lot of unnecessary movement. And I know people will say that, it's a thin line between running and boxing and moving. And the difference is people say Floyd is running. But the thing about Floyd is everything is calculated in his movements. He'd duck one time and won't swing, but next time around, he'd counter you with a hard right hand just to keep you off balance. But when Keith moves, it's just to avoid damage, and it's not really a boxing move. It's more of a to avoid you hurting me move, so I can survive another minute in this round or second in this round, even if he's not getting hurt. It's kind of more of a survival mode type of movement. And when you're boxing for 12 hard rounds and you're doing a lot of unnecessary movement, a lot of wasteful movement, those things count against you. Stamina is very precious in a fight of this caliber. And if he chooses to do a lot of that unnecessary movement and that rolling out, and he front runs like he tends to, when I say front run, it means that he's hot in the beginning in the first few rounds. The first half of the fight, he's hot. A la Yuriorkis Gamboa versus Terrence Crawford. Gamboa came on fire for the first 4 to 5 rounds, but in the fight, it's a time where people will say, well, he's faster than him, he's quicker than him. But it's a time when, in a boxing match, the guy that's faster and quicker is going to drop off in speed. He's going to drop off in stamina. He's going to get tired at some point because he's boxing and moving. It's hard to box and move for 12 straight rounds. And once the more aggressive fighter, catches up to him, the one that's not wasting movement, that's coming forward, trying to cut the ring off, and once he catches up to him and start hitting him and meaning shots, then it starts to add up. The punches, the stamina, the wasteful movement. And that's what Danny's going to look to do. Danny's going to look to weather the storm early. And when he gets them in close corners, if he can get them up close, he's going to try to close the show. And if Danny gets Keith Thurman hurt, he's not going to waste that opportunity to get him out of there. You know, Keith is there to be hit. He's there to be hurt. And, you know, they're really focusing on going to his body. And, you know, a lot of opponents, that can be the game plan, especially going against a dude, any boxer like Keith. But the one thing about people don't notice about going to the body is it leaves you vulnerable to the head. It really does, unless you're very up close. You know, that's why a lot of fighters, you know, you wonder why they don't go to the body, because it's a vulnerability. You know, do you really want to change a body shot that, you know, might add up down the line and they might accumulate to him being tired and getting him out of there with a headshot that can get you out of there right now? A lot of boxers not willing to make that exchange and make that trade-off. And that's why it's hard to really set a game plan for going to the body. You know, a lot of fighters say, I'm going to beat the body. He's weak to the body. But it's easier said than done, especially when your opponent has real power. So that's something to look for. You know, like I said, as far as Keith, you know, he does telegraph a lot of punches. There's a lot of holes there with Keith Thurman. You know, he's far from the pitch perfect fighter in the world. He does a lot of things amateurish. You know, like I said, the wasteful movement, Amir Khan did it. You know, they throw combinations and they roll out and continuously to roll out the same directions. And hopefully Danny Garcia's team can pick up on that. But like I said in the beginning, if he's not going to cut that ring off and he's going to chase Thurman down without making the ring smaller, he's going to have a problem. Because Thurman's going to tee off on his ass all night. And he's going to have to hope that Keith Thurman gets tired. He's going to have to hope that Keith Thurman makes a mistake late. He's going to hope that he's going to beat her late. And from taking all that punishment he's going to be taking if he's going to be trailing Keith and not cutting that ring off. And that's very imperative for him to cut the ring off and make it smaller. And depending on what size the ring is, if it's a bigger ring, it can spell trouble for him. You know, Keith, you know, versus, you know, Sean Porter, he didn't follow the Kale Book blueprint. He was trying to knock Porter out with hooks. He just didn't live off the basic 1-2 and time him and hold him and grab him. He created his own blueprint. So I don't expect him to follow the blueprint of Lamont Peterson. I don't expect him to follow the blueprint of Mauricio Herrera. All three of them are totally different fighters. But one thing about Keith is, if you hit him with something that he doesn't like, he will go into safe mode, similar to Leonard Bundu. But the difference is between him going into safe mode with Bundini Bundu and Luis Collazo, is Danny Garcia is a cold-blooded finisher. He will finish you if he has to do it. If you force him, he will get the job done. He will finish you. But at the end of the day, it's getting very, very close. And I'm liking Danny Garcia's demeanor more and more. He has a silent swagger by himself about this fight. It seems like he's very sure of himself what he's going to do. I think he believes in a game plan fully. And I think, you know, he's not fazed by the moment. I think Keith is living in the moment. And I think he's not used to being here on this stage. You know, he's doing a lot of talking, a lot of jabber-jawking. And, you know, Danny gonna let them things fly. You know, I'm still picking Keith to win I think I said a 3 or 4 point decision. Just basically based on the movement that he's going to present to this fight. But I'm kind of coming around with Danny a little bit. I'm going to stay with Keith, but I'm liking what I'm seeing with Danny. The demeanor, the composure, you know, how he's carrying himself. He's very sure of himself, and he's a winner. It's just that, you know, I think Keith, you know, style-wise, I think he's going to do enough to win. I think he's going to crawl to the finish line, You know what I mean? I think he's barely going to make it. It's going to get interesting down the stretch, and we might even see a rematch, even though there's no rematch clause. Both guys are making $2 million apiece. Let the best man win. This your boy CJ Goodfellow, the Boxing Clinic. Appreciate everybody that watches the channel, that follows the page, that